going to be returning to the Just Stop Oil prison sentences and to an article by Suzanne Moore, which says prison is no place for women like Cressida Gethin. I think perhaps prison is not the place for her, but not for the reasons Suzanne Moore is giving. I'll explain after I've told you that I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. Now, I do have to be a bit careful here, but I want you to look at this photograph of Cressida Gethin. She is unnaturally thin, very thin. There's something wrong there. Now, I have read that anorexia is something that often happens to girls who want to be perfect in everything. It's part of that personality of striving always for absolute perfection. And she's got herself into the idea of perfecting the planet as well. It's part of that personality. And I reckon that prison probably isn't the place for her. I reckon that she needs some sort of medical help. So, if I had to step over some Just Stop Oil activists at an airport, says Suzanne Moore, while carrying luggage and small children, I too might have joined in the prevailing lock 'em up mentality that swirls around these protests. But you see, what Suzanne Moore is not taking notice of is that it's not just a matter of stepping over a few people lying on the ground on your way out to your Spanish holiday, is it? It's a matter of people whose lives have been ruined, wrecked and marred by people like this girl here on blocked up motorways. So no, you see, Suzanne Moore, you are not paying attention enough. Okay, if your holiday is a little messed up, you can make the argument that these people aren't doing that much harm. But if your life is messed up, you can say that. And this girl definitely was instrumental in that. She was a fully paid up member of this climbing up the gantry business, which ruined lives and possibly killed some people. Now, in trying to draw attention to the climate emergency, which they say is a climate emergency and which many people, scientists, disagree with, by the way, these zealots, and look how she's using scare quotes everywhere, these zealots, they are zealots, are apparently the selfish ones. Yeah, I'd say stopping somebody from getting to the hospital is sort of selfish. As they plan to cause a summer of chaos. The full force of the law must come down upon them, we're told. No, it's not we're told. We want. These people should not be able to impose themselves on us in that sort of way. And now that it has, 5 protesters who conspired to disrupt the M25 by scaling a gantry for 4 days have been handed sentences of 4 and 5 years. These are longer than some sentences for sexual assault. Let's face it, if one person died as a result of this, then that's sort of murder, isn't it? Which, of course, should be more serious than sexual assault. But in any case, the fact that they have sentences of 4 and 5 years, which, as she says, is longer than some sentences of sexual assault, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the Just Stop Oil sentences. It means there's something wrong with the sexual assault sentences, doesn't it now? But at the same time, our prisons are overcrowded. That's not an excuse. I've always thought that Suzanne Moore had a good handle on things, but in this she seems to have gone completely floppy. Yeah, our prisons are overcrowded, and it's very likely that these people will not be in prison for the 4 and 5 years that they have been sentenced to. But nevertheless, a sentence is a sentence. It means you have to behave as long as you're out on licence. It's even more baffling when you consider that 3 of those M25 miscreants are women. Well, yeah, what do you mean more baffling? A lot of women follow far too easily charismatic men. It seems to be a fault of my sex to do that. Here in HM Prison, Bronzefield, there are hundreds of women who've been objectively failed by society and by the British legal system, Gethin said, and she's quite right. A lot of women in prison are there for not paying their television licence. The whole thing is wrong. But Gethin is one of the few who really deserves to be there. So maybe this will give Ms. Gethin something else to fight for rather than just stop oil. Something about women not being imprisoned for not paying television licenses. You can fight for that, so long as you don't kill anybody while you're doing that. And it says here no one cares much about women in prison. Yeah, it is a national scandal, that television licence thing. Prison is not a safe space, the conditions are dire, and there are currently historic levels of self-harm. Yeah, because a lot of women who end up in prison are the sort of people who harm themselves, who can't manage the world. Like this woman here. She may not know it, but she has a lot in common with most of those women in prison. I think this girl here needs a lot of help. Now, my last video about Cressida Gethin concentrated on her dreadful mother, and when I look at this girl here, I look at a woman who's probably got a dreadful mother. She's supposed to be 22. She looks about 15. And that's because it looks to me like she has long-term been starving herself. Let's see what else we have here. The pointless imprisonment of middle-class female protesters. No, it's not pointless. It's not pointless. Stopping motorways, you know, making people step over you when they're going on their holiday. Yeah, it's not very nice. But stopping people on motorways, that is a serious offence. It's not pointless to imprison people who commit such a serious offence. But what we should be thinking of is what's wrong with this girl here, and whether she should be confined to a prison or a hospital. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by clicking like, by subscribing, by clicking the notification bell, and by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels are in the description, also links to donation sites, but really the best way you can help me is simply by clicking like. Thank you.